Have you ever wondered how energy can help you heal? Welcome back to the Crack the Code podcast. Today, I have a special guest for you, Jacquie Metzger, and she's going to be telling us all about how that can work for your advantage. So today, we're going to talk to Jacquie. She's a master sound and energy healer who works with people that are seeking deep healing and spiritual growth. She uses a variety of healing instruments, her voice, and more than 10 varieties of energy healing modalities to create custom private and group sessions. Her intuitive abilities allow her to help clients connect and communicate with their guides, angels, and ancestors. Self-empowerment is a passion of hers and loves teaching others to heal themselves as well. If you are seeking healing and guidance on physical, emotional, and spiritual levels, Jacquie can be your guide to helping you discover what you are seeking. So welcome, Jacquie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always interesting hearing that back. We do that like I did that years ago, and so I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, true. All still
Yeah,
true.
that's me. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know that there's more than 10 modalities out there because for a lot of our listeners, they may not even be familiar with a lot of the different types of energy healing modalities that are available to them.
Yeah, there are ridiculous amount, not ridiculous in a bad way, but I
Yeah.
was so surprised when I started searching. I'm like, wow, I could spend like the rest of my life learning new modalities. So yeah,
Yeah.
finding what feels
And
best.
there's so many, and they all kind of work hand in hand. So I
Hmm.
recommend with people if you have some kind of issues and you're not sure where to go, just keep trying things because there's
Yeah.
so many different options available. And one might not do everything you want it to, but you can try something else and just keep going through. Like, don't give up. When you try the first thing, say, oh, that stuff doesn't work. It might be the person you're working with, or it might be the modality itself.
Yeah, there's so many different variables, and energy is so beautiful, and it's all the intention. It's just these different techniques, these different structures of things, but they're all like you're seeking healing and growth, and it will work the way it needs to.
Yeah. Now I know we were talking a little bit before, and you're a very intuitive person, which is awesome. I mean, I do the emotion code, and I'm not necessarily an intuitive person. Anyone can learn how to do it. So there's certain things where that intuition really plays more into the modalities. So maybe you can kind of give us a little bit of your background, how you got started, what happened to you, maybe challenges that you had, and let us know how this energy work has helped your life.
Sure. I love energy healing. I love everything about it. And I feel like all of us carry energy. We're energetic beings. And so it's just how does it show up for us? And then learning tools and techniques to enhance them and allow you to grow in whatever works best for you. But my background is the more that I learn these different techniques, the more that I realize I've been practicing all of this for as long as I can remember. So I'm very grateful that I was raised in an environment where I was encouraged to have a relationship with spirit. It was called different things. It was
Yeah.
definitely more
Yeah.
structured. However, if I would ask a question or I would be curious about something, then my parents would encourage me to pray about it or to ask questions, to go look in books, to go seek and discover for myself and what felt best for me. Not that they didn't teach me and guide me also, but I was really encouraged, like, be the seeker and learn from others as well. And I just asked tons and tons of questions. So I've I've been meditating and manifesting and journeying and communing with spirit again, like as far as I can remember. I've been receiving hands-on healing all my life and receiving intuitive readings all my life as well. Again, that's just the community and the culture that I grew up in. And so I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I know you've had some health challenges over the years. Maybe you can give us a little um, background on what's happened there and how this has helped you move forward.
Yeah. And I love that you asked that question because even when I was filling it out, I'm like, oh, there's several different points. I think we all have these like life-defining moments. But even as we're talking, I just had this thought of when I was born with such a severe club foot that it was like up against my leg and it had to be reconstructed twice.
Oh,
So the fact that I can walk and I played every sport, not well, but I did. I played them,
Good for you.
is a miracle. So I feel like, that was definitely, I was born with, if you want to call them challenges, just already things maybe potentially blocking me from birth. And so just being able to overcome them and adjust and adapt to create a better life for myself, for lack of a
Yeah.
better term. But then I have always suffered from some form of anxiety and depression. And so, again, just finding tools and techniques to help me with that. Um, I was also diagnosed with cancer in 2010. And so, that all of these are huge shifts and catalysts for change in my life. And so, I changed my life and I started really getting into nutrition and stress management and just led me deeper into my meditation practice, expanded it. And and then my mom passed away, which totally knocked like the
Mm,
earth from under me.
yeah.
Yeah, I think anytime we lose a loved one that way, it's just there are no words. Like
Yeah.
it's shocking, even
Yeah.
if you kind of know things are happening. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that definitely shifted me. Then we moved across the country. And then my cat died unexpectedly. Like all these
Oh,
things, I just feel
yeah.
like it was bam, bam, bam. And then we found out started becoming really, really sick before we moved, and then eventually I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. And
Oh,
so that was like the okay.
yeah.
I had this. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious. So then when you found that out, like, were you already using energy healing when you went through your cancer and your grieving process? Were you using those tools?
Not in the way that I do now. No,
Okay.
I was still meditating. I was still connecting to the divine. I was doing that way. So in a sense, I was asking for healing, and I would even do, since I grew up with hands-on healing, I would, touch my body in different places and ask for healing that way. So in a non-traditional way,
Right.
yes, but not the way that I do it now, or not to the
Yeah.
degree that I do it
Yeah.
now.
And so did that switch after when you got Lyme disease? I mean, that's a lot of
Yeah.
big things going on there.
Yeah, with Lyme disease, I remember I was sitting on the couch and I heard a clear voice say, "You need to become a Reiki master." And then the Jackie part of myself was like,
What?
"What's Reiki?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I'd never heard of all these different modalities. I'd never
Oh,
heard of traditional like energy healing that way, probably because I grew up with another form of it. And so it just wasn't even in my awareness. And then so I, Googled Reiki.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just, and then found a practitioner close by, had a session with her, and I couldn't believe how much different I felt in one session.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think too, because I was taught to trust that still small voice in my mind, that it has a different energy than my own voice. So it was a very clear message. So then I just started studying, and then I became a Reiki master as quick as I was allowed to be. Like I was like, okay, cool, next and next. And I kind of approached all energy, all the modalities in the beginning. I learned a lot really quickly, as fast as I could, for my own personal growth and healing. I wanted to heal so desperately from the pain from Lyme disease. So that's
So
why
is that a body pain that you get with Lyme disease? Like, is it an all over kind of body pain? I'm not sure how does that work?
it shows up differently for everybody, and it's
Okay.
really challenging to diagnose
Yeah.
for that reason. And it's an interesting thing too, because depending on where you seek treatment, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but for me it showed up in physical, emotional, mental, a lot of things going on with my cognition. So it was extreme physical pain,
Mm.
vertigo, lots of things with my digestion. I became allergic to pretty much so many things. It was ridiculous. And it felt like my husband thought maybe I was going into early onset Alzheimer's.
Mm.
in my late 30s when I was finally diagnosed. And so it was like I felt like I could not learn new things in that way like I could before. It was like it would take me a really long time. It's like for the information to connect, where before I could learn really easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And so when you went for that first Reiki treatment, was that the pain that they were dealing with mostly that you noticed, or was it the emotional? What do you think?
pain, yeah,
Pain.
because I think I mean pain is so distracting
Mm.
when your body is on fire like that.
Yeah.
you, the pressure and all of that, that's really all you can focus on, even if you're intentionally trying, okay, deep breathing, meditation, like bringing in the tools that I have already. It was still like, how could I didn't feel like I could live the rest of my life if that was going to be my life.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I always feel for people when you see them when you're out and about, like people that have chronic back pain. I mean, you can tell by the way that they walk. And,
Yeah,
and then when you just have a tweak and you're not feeling normal for just a couple of days, you're thinking, how do those people go through that every
yeah,
day? Because,
yeah.
we just take our health for granted until we have something, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
it's usually something extreme before we start paying attention. Yeah,
And sometimes not even then.
yeah,
I know people have major life events of certain things, and you think,
very
wow, how
true.
come they aren't changing? Why aren't they doing something different? This could happen again. Yeah, it's so
Yes.
interesting. But I do know with the energy like work that I do and you do, especially pain and those stresses or anxieties, like that's something that's so quickly noticed when you're doing energy work. Like some things
Mhm.
take, I always tell people it's like the layers of the onion. Some things are kind of a one and done. And then sometimes you take that one layer off and then another layer shows up and you can kind of keep
Mhm.
working through whatever you're doing. But it's nice to get something immediate. And I find, especially with things like stress, anxiety, pain, you can get something at least noticeable right away.
Yeah, yeah. And it is like sometimes it does happen so quickly that it feels like it's magic. It
Yeah.
really feels miraculous. And what I do love about the structure of these different modalities is like you talked about, you can learn certain techniques that can work really fast for yourself and others if you choose to do that. And so it's like you don't have to be, what we would consider the psychic or super highly intuitive. You don't have to be that. Anyone can learn these techniques and you will have results.
Yeah, yeah. And like I say, I always feel like that too. That it is kind of almost magical. It's hard to almost explain to people what you do because people are like, "What? How does that work?" Well, I can't really explain. It's energy. It just works. You got to just try
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's available to all of us too. That's what I love
Mm-hmm.
about when it's like I want to teach this. I want other people to have this magic. And so
Mm-hmm.
it is just even a tiny bit of belief in yourself, or even just like pulling in the energy, the belief of your instructor, your mentor, it just can open things up really beautifully for you when
Yeah.
you want to learn this.
So with your Lyme disease, you were working on the energy yourself, and then were you also kind of working hand in hand with the doctors and things? Like I know that doesn't always happen in reality. It would be nice if the medical system and the holistic system could kind of work more synergistically together. But how did that kind of work for you, that process?
Yeah, so for me, that becoming diagnosed and being taken seriously in my pain took a long time. It took, I'd say, at least 10 different doctors telling me that there was nothing wrong with me because all my blood work was coming back normal.
Mhm.
And then finding like I had to go to holistic practitioners, holistic MDs who were not covered by my insurance. And so this is out of pocket. The reality is I did and continue to spend a lot of money getting the help that I need and then I
Yeah.
needed back then. So working with a couple of different doctors who are holistic MDs, and so um helping with different herbs and different treatments and different things like that. So for me, driving for me was so excruciatingly painful that I really couldn't go to and receive support
Mm.
very often that way. Like I found a practitioner that was really close to me for energy healing, so I was able to receive that way. And I would just, or I would do it by distance. I would receive by distance.
Yeah.
So it's just. the pain was really excruciating all the time for a good bit of time. But also using a combination of herbs. I found a doctor who had helped himself with Lyme disease, and so he had created this different herbal protocol,
Nice.
doing detox treatments, like so many different things that I incorporated as I felt guided to that helped
Mm,
me.
nice. Yeah, that must have been helpful to have a doctor that had actually been through it themselves. Maybe a
Hmm.
little more empathetic to what you were going through. So
Yeah.
I know you have all these modalities that you use. Do you have a favorite?
That's really, I don't know. Like, because
Putting you on the
every time,
spot.
because like anytime I'm talking about different modalities, I'll be like, oh, I really love this one. Oh, I really
Mm,
love this one. They're all so beautiful. And also I receive, like, so when I'm preparing for a session, I ask spirit, like, what can I channel as for their highest good, whether that be, Reiki or IET or like so many things.
yeah.
Um, and so often I will feel a new frequency come in. I'm sensitive to the different frequencies. To me, each one has a different feeling to it. And so then
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask like, oh, is this something new? Have I not done this before? And so if it's something new, then, I'm just communicating with my guides and my clients' guides of like, what is this energy to channel? And so in that way too, I am open to channeling different, if you want to call them modalities,
Yeah.
like all these modalities, just someone receiving divine guidance and then creating it and sharing it with
Yeah.
the world. So you can also receive your own. So I do that a lot as well.
So maybe you can just share with the listeners what are some of the modalities that you do know. Maybe they've heard of them, or maybe they might want to look up some information about them. Maybe give us a few of them.
Yeah. I don't remember them all.
Yeah, just some. Just give us a
But
3 or 4 that you know. I know.
Reiki. Like
Yeah.
Reiki to me is most people, if you know anything about energy healing, you have heard of Reiki.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes pronounced a little bit differently, but
Hmm.
it's just a really beautiful energy that was brought from Japan to here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that's the most common, most easiest to learn about. And then there's one called integrative energy therapy. And it's also really beautiful. And you're working with 9 specific angels for emotional healing that way. And there's also this, you wouldn't call it a modality per se, but it is a tradition in Hawaii called Ho'oponopono.
Hmm.
And that's really just taking this responsibility. And that is super easy to
Yeah.
learn. And it's also really beautiful and sacred. And, it's like, um, of course, sound healing. I guess if you want to call that a modality, sound healing, I
Mm.
incorporate sound healing into every single thing I do, whether that's a
Cool.
card reading, um, anything, I incorporate sound healing in some way. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
for listeners, if you're listening on the podcast, check out my YouTube channel where you can see all of Jackie's bowls for her sound healing in the background. And I think that's one of the things that you're going to offer to our listeners, isn't it? Some
Yeah, and it's
meditations.
just, yeah, so on my YouTube channel, I usually like once a month or however I'm guided, I put a new sound healing guided meditation, or even just sometimes it's just sound healing. So some people really like to just listen to that and do their own.
Yeah.
So I keep adding things there, and of course that's free. That's YouTube.
Yeah, nice. So we'll have that in the show notes for anybody that wants to check that out and hear some different sound healings there. And is there any other maybe quick tips that we can give listeners as we're just wrapping up here, Jacquie, if people are interested in doing some kind of energy healing and maybe they're not sure, even where to start? Do you have any tips for people?
What comes to my mind really is even just breath work, even just taking a moment to focus on your breath, breathing in and out, and then setting the intention of breathing in healing energy and allowing it to flow through your body, however that shows up for you, and then breathing out everything you wish to set free. Like that is that's energy healing. You're
Mm.
intentionally, and it's in your breath, and you don't need any instruments. You just need you and your intention and your time.
Yeah, I think it's such a simple one. And I know I'm hearing more and more about it. It's becoming more common, but we don't always think about breathing in different ways and how that can benefit us because we're so used to just naturally breathing without really any
Mhm.
thought to it, right? Great.
Mhm.
So if anybody wants to reach out and learn more about all these methods that you use and how you can help them, what's the easiest way for people to get in touch with you, Jacquie?
Probably on my link tree. So it's just Linktree and slash Jackie Metzger. That's really because it has links to all different things. I keep my events updated there as well.
Okay, well, that's awesome. And again, all the information will be in the show notes. If you're driving and you aren't able to write anything down, it's okay. Don't worry. All the information's there. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jacquie, and sharing your experience about the different kinds of healings. And for everybody listening, if you have any issues that you want to check out, you're not sure if energy healing is for you, you can reach out to Jacquie, learn some more about the different types of methods that she uses and what they are for and how she can help you. Because I'm sure she's got, with that whole package of things that she does, she'll have something that's going to work for you. But just keep in mind, if you're out doing something and you're not getting results, check out the different kinds of healings you can do because there's something there that can help you. You just got to keep looking because it's never too late.